Hey folks, this is Drew from Dose of Drew here. I am another knife review. Had a couple of unboxings today. One that I videoed of a Spyderco. Another I didn't, and I kind of wish I would have done both at this point in time because it actually ended up being more of a surprise than the Spyderco, and that is the QSP Gannet. Not very good at front flippers either. Put it way back here, size of my face. It's a VV riffle, so you get an idea of the size. Really close in size, not quite the same blade width and all of that. The R2D2, so you get an idea of that one, a little bit bigger. 3.5 inch blade. It's a pretty good size, nice 154 cm on this thing. It's a wonderfully, surprisingly good knife out of the box. The swell at the, you can see the dip and swell at the tail, it gives it a little bit of grip right there. Really well done on most of the quality items. Couple of things out the box for those of you who know and can see. That bend in the spring versus where the cutout is. A little bit off there. Not going to hurt anything. It still quite springy, still quite works. Pretty good action. See if I can't get a good front flip in while I'm doing it. Oop, if I don't drop it. But yeah, it's actually a pretty nice one. It's got a really interesting little flipper thing there that works pretty good when you're not trying to do it on camera. Has a really good spot for a little bit of choke up with the sharpening choil that actually has a little bit of a smile to it, if you can see. But most of the sharpening choil got away. It gives it that little bit of recurve there at the back. Really good ergonomics, contoured scales, really tight on the bolsters, really tight. Like, that's pretty darn good. Not too bad on the pocket clip, even though it has the raised screws. It has an actual ramp up and gap before it goes. So there's a little, even though they did the raised screws and dropped this down, kept the pocket clip flush, it's actually pretty flush. That might be able to. I don't know if you can see all of that, but yeah, it'll be it's not exactly flat. It kind of goes boink and then down. Gives you a little room for your seam to get up in there and over there with, so it gives a little, it's not quite in the right place, but the heart is in the right place. So I'll give them kudos for that. This is really good feeling in the hand. This is a relatively simple, classic design, drop point, almost clip point, I would actually say. It's pretty straight. But that little ramp up gives it a look of a thing. If you get it in the right spot, you can see that it's straight, but that ramp up gives it a different angle. Flat, kind of drops down, lots of flat, really good belly at the tip to keep it nice and strong. It's got that nice swoop to that seems to be kind of in fashion, and I have no problem with it. The swoop here to the plunge grind. Wow. Milled out. Just wanted to give a quick first impression that if anyone's looking at this, I can tell you, my first impression is pretty darn good. QSP Gannet. QSP's been doing some really good work lately. Their Penguin is a fantastic deal at around $30. Gannet was about twice that, or a little bit more. But it goes up from D2 to 154 cm. I consider that an upgrade, even though it's a little bit less on the wear resistance. It is much higher on both the toughness and usually, depending on heat treat, toughness and sharpenability, all sorts of other stuff, and of course corrosion resistance, as it's actually stainless, kind of stain resistant. But yeah, really good one. Pretty sharp out of the box, pretty straight secondary bevels across there. See if I can get a shine. But pretty even, pretty straight, a little bit of wobble to it. Good cutouts. Some minor things that are a little bit strange, really long back spacer, which gives you a good solid feel when you have it in your hand. Almost sparkly, almost jeweled in the little finger spacer there. Kind of cool. Again, first impressions, very smooth. You know where to put your fingers. You know where to choke up if you're trying to get back. There, for my hands, there's enough room to come back here to get a bit of a chop action to it while still having that little tip right in your hand. So you can also choke down on this one and have a little bit of support still, at least if your hands are around my size. If you're a little bit bigger, it might be you're not really choking down a whole lot. You're just kind of scooting down, but it does also allow you to scoot up and get your finger up there. You can finger the blade and get some pretty good point control if you need to score or do some work. I was pleasantly and surprisingly impressed with the quality and comfort of the QSP Gannet. I have not worn it yet. I just basically pulled it out of the box a couple hours ago and have been feeling it. Getting a feel for it, fondling it, you might say. Yeah, it's a nice one. I got the red carbon fiber and G10 along with the natural brown micarta. Kind of gives it that snake skin look when they contour it, which I really, really like. The contours, quite honestly, I don't know if this will show. Maybe I can get my head up there. It's too much the same color. Hey, maybe my green shirt will do it. It might not show up so well on camera, but the contouring actually looks like it's a little bit 3D. There's a little bit of a bump up here. It kind of dips down. There's a little bit of roll, and then it may be flat to the, it looks like it's got multiple dimensions to the contouring. It's just not just a flat one that's been rounded with it's all flat across. It's actually got some hand contouring as well in the right direction. Pretty impressive. If anyone's on the fence, my first impression of this is go for it. It's 154 cm. The action's good. It's got bearings. It's got a pretty good quality. QSP has been doing pretty good. It sits really well on the liners. All of the bolsters are tight as can be. Like it is. The only gaps you can see in the lines are ones that are going to be there naturally from the material, especially things like G10 and carbon fiber, where the glass can tend to have little compaction points that are minuscule, but would be noticeable. There's very little not to like about this thing. There's a couple of things like if I can, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it. There you go. Maybe if I get it there. There's that little screw tip poking out. So that screw right there, it's just a little too long. Anyway, first impressions, this is going really long. I could talk about this for a little while. I was really pleasantly surprised. I think if you're on the fence, grab one. If this is in your price point, you already know it. The bearings are good. See if I can do this lighter style. Hey. The bearings are good. The grip on the back side of it that you think, hey, what is that for? It also works really good for jimping right there. So you got some good jimping on this sucker. Choke up, choke down. This is a great knife. This is a really good knife so far. If I find anything wrong after the first 2 hours, as I carry this, I will definitely, this is going to be getting a full review because, dang, it's a nice one. Lots of good curves, lots of good shapes that really work well in the hand. If you're wondering about it, yes, it's Chinese made, but they live up to their name, QSP, quality, service, price. They're living up to it. What do you want me to say? Doesn't really matter where they're from in some ways. I like to root for the home team and I like to do it, but QSP's living up to their name and they're doing a good job. At least in the ones that I have. I have a penguin, I have a leopard, and I have now a gannet. And the gannet is, quite honestly, even though the penguin is my favorite because I love a good value, bargains, value, bang for the buck, right? At $30, the penguin's hard to beat, but at around $70 to $80, depending on where you get them, it's somewhere right in that $75 range. There's a lot of knives out there in that range that are really good, and this one is a contender. $70. I mean, man, don't get me wrong. I still like my Kershaw tumbler, but $70, $80 range, there's a lot of good knives. But I can tell you that if this one's speaking to your fancy, My first impression is, if this is your style and you're like, ooh, I wonder if it's good. If this is your style, it's probably worth a shot. If you're even wondering. Full review to come. That's it, first impressions. If anyone's wondering what the other knife was, because you haven't seen the other unboxing video, well, Spyderco, CPM crewwear and carbon fiber. And in case that one's not enough, I got a couple other things I'm looking at here as far as what we're going to do. And one of them's going to be the black and tan Natrix. Kind of like the way it turned out. With the copper Natrix with the black stuff. Black screw set. Can't do the knockout bar. It is not the same shape or tolerances or anything when it comes to the G10 version. I actually was thinking about swapping out the scales to give anyone an idea. Yes, I'm running over back and forth. You guys are going to have to live with it. Or I might just screw everything up and not have the knife handy. That probably will happen too. So, being that what it is, this is coming. I like the black and copper. It may not be a video. It may just be something that we do because I already did it. I didn't record it. Also, preview for what's to come. Spyderco Astute. One I wish was in something other than 8CR. But I'm a bit of a steel snob. 8CR is a good steel for the price. For most people, it's easy to sharpen and hold an edge. That being said, CPM crewwear. Y'all have a great day. This has been Drew from Dose of Drew. I'll see y'all soon.